International Media TV. Television that listens to you.
Hi, I'm Johnny Burrell. Welcome to the program.
We're celebrating the anniversary of Bruce Lee's death here at the Chinese Historical Society Museum of America in San Francisco's Chinatown with Jeff Chinn, who has the largest collection of Bruce Lee's memorabilia in the world. The conversation will be about Bruce Lee, and it will also be about you, Jeff, and the extraordinary work you do in keeping Bruce Lee's legacy alive worldwide. You and Bruce Lee have something in common, and I think you know that better than I do. You were both born at Chinese Hospital in San Francisco,
yes.
And it is the only Chinese hospital in America. I didn't know that. So you were born, what year were you born?
I was born in 1961. Bruce Lee was born at the Chinese Hospital in 1940.
And another thing you have in common is the name. Your grandmother's name, her maiden name was Lee, and she was a karate, a kung fu expert.
Mm-hmm.
Any Bruce Lee connection? No, is this just super good luck on your part?
Well, I mean, there's a big chance. I mean, her maiden name was Lee. Bruce Lee's last name was Lee, which was his real Chinese last name, not his paper name, which a lot of us have.
I love it. As a young boy, Jeff, how did your now 50-year journey come about? What was Bruce Lee's main influence?
Well, when I started out as an 11-year-old boy back in 1972, my only goal was to have the biggest Bruce Lee collection in the 6th grade, because me and my friends always liked to one-up each other with the latest Bruce Lee magazine, poster, whatever. And in the beginning, most of the stuff mainly came from Chinatown, and I never knew that eventually my collection would be displayed in Chinatown at a real museum, the Chinese Historical Society.
So you outdid all of your friends.
I guess I did.
I think you did. You know, a lot of people knew where they were when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and also the civil rights leader Martin Luther King was when he was assassinated. Where were you when you heard the tragic news of Bruce Lee's death?
When I found out, my story is kind of interesting, because we were, my family and I were vacationing in Lake Tahoe, and the son of the lodge owner came up to me during the week of July 1973 and told me that the Kung Fu guy died. And I looked at him and said, "Kung Fu guy, you mean David Carradine?" And the guy shook his head, yeah, I think so. So for the whole week, I had thought that David Carradine had passed away, and I actually liked the show Kung Fu, so I was quite sad. And it wasn't until we returned back to San Francisco when I met up with my friends. My friends were very sad and said, "Jeff, how do you feel about Bruce's death?" And I said, "What? Bruce Lee died too?" So, yeah. But, you know, he eventually, everyone knew. Mm-hmm. It was a shock because Bruce Lee looked at the prime of his life, physically, mentally, and whatever. And, you know, it was just a sudden death, and it was very sad that he died a month before Enter the Dragon was even released in the movie theaters.
Right. How did your life change when you began collecting?
One story that I like to share, or actually it's 2 stories. My first story is, despite the fact that I was born in San Francisco, Chinatown at the Chinese Hospital, I never shared with any of my friends that I was born in Chinatown.
Why?
That's because of all the negative stereotypes in TVs, movies, even comic books. Fast forward to 1973 when I saw my first Bruce Lee movie that was released in an American theater. It was called Fists of Fury. my mom brought me to the kitchen, sat me down and said, Jeff, I'm going to tell you something that you're really going to like. So I sat down and waited, thinking that she was going to give me a raise in my meager allowance, but no. She said, Jeff, did you realize that you and Bruce Lee were born in the same hospital? So I literally fell out of my chair, got back up, and I said, wait till I go back to school now and tell all my friends, and not just tell them, but brag to them, that this guy over here was born in the same hospital as Bruce Lee. So it shows you a whole 360-degree change in attitude.
Yes.
The other part of my childhood that was so memorable that I'll never forget was in the 6th grade. So Fist of Fury came out on a Friday. My dad took me to see the movie Saturday. When I went back to school on Monday, my non-Chinese friends were looking at the Chinese a little differently. And I said, what's going on here? I didn't find out until it was time to play kickball. I'm pretty sure you know that the Chinese or the Asians were usually picked last because we were considered the weaker race, maybe due to all the stereotypes. Well, the 2 Caucasian team captains were whispering, and they said, Jeff, come here. I said, what do you want? They said, we just saw that movie, Fist of Fury, with that dude named Bruce Lee, kick a guy right through the wall, and then they asked me, can you Chinese actually do that? So I shook my head, So basically what I'm trying to tell you in a nutshell is being relatively invisible on Friday to being greatly noticed on Monday, right, yeah. Which was magical, thanks to Bruce Lee.
A change had come.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about Bruce Lee, martial arts aside, the man, and why it's important for you to bring his legacy to the world. It's a 2-part question, but talk to us about the man, and certainly we're going to talk more about him as a martial artist. What about the man?
Well, to me personally, Bruce Lee was very special. This is coming from an Asian American point of view, because representation is very important. Positive representation is even more important. Bruce Lee gave us a lot of pride in our Chinese heritage. He literally played a Chinese American superhero on TV or on the movie screen. And just to see him showing his kung fu skills, his screen presence, his charisma, made a lot of us who saw his TV shows and movies hold our heads up high. It's been 50 years since he passed away, and it's kind of like my job to teach the younger generation about the true story of Bruce Lee, how he represented proudly the Chinese people, and how he encountered a lot of racism, but yet he was able to succeed, because he literally opened the doors for everyone else that followed him. Yes.
Talk to us about how your memorabilia collection speaks to humankind and what life can teach us.
Well, I'm very blessed that I'm able to use my collection to share his legacy.
And you took on that job, Jeff.
Yeah, well, it's I guess, do you want me to share my most important personal story?
Share everything with us.
Okay. So of course I was born and raised in San Francisco. I went to school in San Francisco from kindergarten to the 7th grade. And in 1974, my dad told us that we had to move to another city. And I was very sad because I wanted to stay in San Francisco. But before we moved, I had never personally faced any form of racism because of the fact that at school it felt like 50% Asian or 50% Chinese. So when we moved, the first day of the 8th grade, I was in total shock. I said, where's all the Chinese? Where's all the Asian? So I found out that I was the only Chinese in my 8th grade class, and as a result, I got picked on. I got called every racial slur in the book. And do you think they had anti-bullying laws back then? No. Do you think they had school counselors? No. So it's basically on my own. In the beginning, I would hide in the library, I guess because bullies don't like to go to libraries. But then my mom started to notice whenever I would eat, I have severe stomach pain. And she took me to the doctor, and the doctor was quite shocked. He said, "I've never seen anyone so young. I was only 13, and I had a bleeding ulcer from holding in all the stress, all the acid was churning in my stomach because I had nowhere to go." So one day, because of the fact that I had the bleeding ulcer, I had to go on a very strict diet. Everything I ate was plain. Before each meal, I had to coat my stomach with this really nasty, thick, white liquid that made everything tasteless. One day I was in my bedroom and I had one Bruce Lee poster on the wall, and I looked at the poster and then I was crying, and it was almost like Bruce Lee was speaking to me, saying, "It's okay, Jeff, because I Bruce Lee, am Chinese, and I probably face even more racism than you have." And I looked at the poster and I said, "Listen, Bruce, this is probably the darkest period of my young life, and I'm really gonna need your help. And if you do help me, I'm gonna pay you back one day." So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Wow. Every item in terms of your collection has a story. Tell us the backstory of some of the collection here.
Okay, well, there's a very special payroll sheet from the Green Hornet TV series that shows that although many of us feel that Bruce Lee as Cato was the actual star of the show The Green Hornet, he was the lowest paid cast member. He made so little that even stuntmen number 1 and 2 made more money than Bruce. I'm pretty sure, even though we weren't there on the set, that we can assume that if he had asked for a raise, he'd probably get fired. But Bruce Lee had to encounter a lot of this mistreatment, and of course he had a bigger picture in mind. Sometimes you have to go through the rough patches in order to succeed. And another object that I want to share is a special photo of Bruce Lee on the set of Enter the Dragon, which is his most important movie. In that photo, it looks like Bruce Lee is holding the script from Enter the Dragon, but if you look closely, and if you could read upside down, he's actually holding a dance manual.
Wow.
So the story goes is that in the beginning of Enter the Dragon, the director was on Bruce's case by saying, "Bruce, we are trying to film a martial arts movie. I keep seeing you holding a dance manual. Are you even concentrating?" Bruce was concentrating at a level so high that people would not understand. To combine dance with the martial arts, you create very beautiful choreography.
Yes.
And it also helped that Bruce Lee was the 1958 Hong Kong Cha-Cha dance champion.
Yeah.
So he had a very strong dance background. Another object or another photo that I like to share is a special photo of Bruce Lee's first school, which was in Seattle. And when you look at the photo, you could see almost every single person represented in terms of race. In fact, the makeup of the class kind of reminds people of the United Nations. Why the photo is special is because in the early days, Chinese could only teach Chinese. But Bruce Lee thought out of the box and didn't care about the color of your skin. As long as you were sincere in learning, he would teach you. And sometimes when you think out of the box, you tend to get into trouble.
Yes.
Bruce Lee probably got into a lot of trouble during his lifetime, but this is what got him to the top.
Absolutely. What is your favorite? If you had one piece of your memorabilia, what would it be in terms of, this is my favorite?
I guess my favorite is the poster that I had told the story of hanging in my bedroom. My personal story of how Bruce Lee inspired me. I'm not talking about the poster in terms of monetary value.
Yes.
Is about the sentimental value. Also, there are some other objects of great interest. We have a magazine called Real Soul Magazine. It's a magazine for African American singers and actors
I learned a lot when I saw that.
Yes. Actually, when you see the issue, you see Bruce Lee as the cover story.
Yes.
The African American people, of course, respected Bruce Lee so much that they put him on the cover of one of their magazines.
We did.
And from my research, I found out he's the only non-black to make it to the cover of Real Soul.
And do you think opening up training in Chinese martial arts was Bruce's beginning to building cultural bridges? And what do you think he would think and say now when we see just the tattering of the cultural bridges that he built?
I guess because martial arts or Kung Fu was number one in terms of Bruce Lee's life. He used his teaching, the teaching of Kung Fu, to bring people together of all races. And Bruce Lee is hopefully someone that can help maybe slow down the anti-Asian hate that's been going on the news. I'm not saying that Bruce Lee is going to solve the problem.
Sure, I understand.
But we have to start somewhere. And from giving tours for over the past 1.5 years, I've been giving tours to all different people, and it's just one person that just brings people together, and that's what we need nowadays. Of course, you know that the subheading of our exhibit is "We are Bruce Lee, under the sky, one family," which shows that people are more alike than they're different.
Yes. What is your favorite Bruce Lee quote?
I have many of them. I guess because I'm getting older, it's hard for me to remember those long ones.
Yes.
So I really like the one where Bruce Lee said in Enter the Dragon, after someone took a wooden board and smashed it in front of his face, he looked at the guy and said, "Boards don't hit back."
I love, he also said, not in that movie, that you don't throw the punch, you are the punch. And he wasn't talking about the punch or fighting, but about life and energy and things that you do if cameras or cars or whatever are your thing. They're not separate from you. I love that. Do you practice?
Yes, I practice Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is Bruce Lee's original style before he switched and created his own style called Jeet Kune Do.
Your collection has been viewed around the world. Talk to us about images and about how they have impacted people in terms of health.
Well, I mean, when we were small, me and my friends all wanted to look like Bruce Lee. I mean, Bruce Lee had that body that everyone wanted to emulate. But if you want to look like Bruce Lee, you got to put in the Bruce Lee hours. Me and my friends put in a lot of Bruce Lee hours, and we finally gave up because we said we just can't.
Can't do it.
Yeah, can't do it. Which is another thing that made Bruce Lee special, because he had the look, he had the screen presence, he had the screams, he had the movements. It's just a combination of everything.
Total package, they would call it.
Yes.
And also, his image is one of compassion and understanding and health, justice, self-defense, and also love. My favorite Cato experience, a lot of people have a Cato experience, Cato the Green Hornet.
Yes.
Mine was, I started when I was 20 years old in the martial arts, but the Green Hornet came on at 7 o'clock, and the class was from 7 to 9. So I waited until Bruce Lee kicked somebody or made a fist, and then I would run around the class.
Yes.
What is your favorite Cato the Green Hornet story?
I guess a favorite of mine and a favorite of many fans is when they had the crossover on the Batman TV series, because the Green Hornet wasn't doing that well in TV ratings, so they thought that they get a boost by guest starring in a 2-part episode on Batman and Robin. In that episode, there was a misunderstanding, and Batman and Robin thought Green Hornet and Cato were bad guys. So at the end, Batman fought Green Hornet, and of course, Robin fought Cato. And in the script, it said that Cato loses to Robin. And when Bruce Lee saw that in the script, he said, I would rather quit than have it like that. So what they had to please everyone was to have it a tie, which is still ludicrous. And one funny backstory is that the guy that played Robin, Burt Ward, before the actual scene, he had boasted that he took some karate and that he could probably take on Bruce.
Right.
And of course, when Bruce heard that, he was furious. And usually before a fight scene, Bruce would joke around, just to make everything feel, very, very relaxed and comfortable. But Bruce as Cato literally gave Robin the Bruce Lee death stare. And I heard that the camera or the TV crew actually voted for Bruce Lee because they thought Robin was like a prima donna. Yeah.
A wimp.
Yes.
The Bruce Lee room here at the museum, is it free admission? Is it RSVP? Talk to us about the Bruce Lee room here as a society.
Yes, I think the general admission to come to the museum is around $12, and but if you get a membership, it's a much better deal because you get to come as many times as you want. Certain membership opportunities allow you to also bring guests, and our exhibit will be here for quite a few more years. So there's plenty of time to tell other people about it.
Right.
It just doesn't help that we're located on a very steep hill, kind of off the path of where Chinatown is on Grand Avenue and all that. So yeah.
If it's about Bruce, people will get here.
Yeah.
There's a statue of Bruce Lee in Los Angeles, and when are they going to put one here in San Francisco? It seems this would have been the first place they would have put a statue.
Yes, logically. Well, I'm currently working with the heads of SF Chinatown, and we've been having about maybe 3 or 4 serious meetings about getting a Bruce Lee statue here. Everyone in Chinatown is really excited about having a statue here. In fact, I heard that so many people want to give money to the project that they have to, scale it down. And I had met Bruce Lee's daughter about maybe 4 weeks ago, and when I had some free time with her, I had mentioned about getting a statue in San Francisco Chinatown. And Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon, smiled and told me that that'd be a very good idea. So I guess the main thing is to get the blessings from Shannon and from the Bruce Lee family. So look for a statue, hopefully.
It will be done. What was your promise to yourself to Bruce Lee?
Well, one promise that I had made is, in 1977, when I was a 16-year-old, I saw an article in an issue of Fighting Stars magazine. And in that article, I saw that Bruce Lee was quoted as saying that he wanted to be the fittest 50-year-old in the entire planet. So even though I was only 16 and I knew that Bruce Lee died at 32, I said that will be my mission, to try to stay in shape by the time that I turn 50. So when I turned 50, I said, okay, pretty good. And then when I hit my 60s, then I said, okay, still pretty good. But then your joints start to hurt. I mean, the mind says yes, but the body says no.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah. But so in terms of me trying to represent the legacy of Bruce Lee, that's one way that I try to, through the practice of Kung Fu, through physical fitness. And one thing that I currently do to honor Bruce Lee is that I do 12 consecutive pull-ups twice a week. every week. And why people ask me the number 12 is because I was 12 years old when I saw my first Bruce Lee movie.
Very cool.
Some, of course, sometimes it gets hard.
I know.
Like 10.
I know.
And then you're like, hang there. So I'll hang there for like 30 seconds and then, okay, 11 and then 12. So, yeah.
What martial arts does for you.
Yes.
Jeff Chinn, it's been an honor having this conversation with you about the icon and legend Bruce Lee and the extraordinary work that you've done to keep his legacy alive. I've learned a lot. You have the last word.
All right, well, I hope all of you will come to our We Are Bruce Lee exhibition here in SF Chinatown, the birthplace of Bruce Lee. We are trying to show that Bruce Lee was not just a kung fu movie star, but he was much more than that. He was a dancer, a philosopher, a teacher, a civil rights leader, many things. And from giving so many tours, I see that it's the non-kung fu movie stuff that really impresses people. So please come to our exhibit, and I usually give tours every Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I'll be more than willing to share how Bruce Lee impacted my life and impacted the life of many others. And hopefully, especially for the younger generation, because when people like us are gone, we need the younger generation to carry on Bruce's memory and legacy. Thank you.